Have you ever wanted to do something but were so scared of the consequences and what might happen that you just completely stop thinking about it? Do you spend your time looking at other people, admiring their bravery, how strong they must be, and now they're reaping all the rewards because of what they've done? Well, then this episode is just for you, because today we're going to break down the myth of fear and how you can actually use it to your advantage to overcome anything you've ever been scared of before. Welcome to the real journey. Welcome back to the show. This is The Real Journey and I'm your host, Callum Richards, and today we're going to be breaking down fear and how there are so many ranges of fear throughout your entire business journey and your personal journey that you're going to have to overcome. You're going to have to, at some point, face those demons head on, and just exactly how so many other entrepreneurs have done it. They range, it's never just a fear on its own. There's always fears of certain aspects of business. You can have self-doubt, which is a type of fear. You're going to be scared of your own capability, scared of what you can actually accomplish, whether it's just a dreamland, whether it's only going to be people that you're looking up to. That fear can take over at the very, very beginning stage and just prevent you from starting altogether. That's probably one of the most common and one of the least spoken about, because it's from the start, it's from the very start that fear is its most strongest, because you've had no previous experience, you've not had any chance whatsoever to actually prove yourself wrong, because everything that happens within the beginning, within that self-doubt stage of your business, everything that happened is just proving that you were right to have that fear. And we like to be proven right, we like to prove ourselves right, and we'll look for any glimmer of hope that we were right, and we'll run with it. And that's exactly what happens within that self-doubt stage. Next, you have uncertainty. The uncertainty will be with you throughout your journey until, I would say, you've actually made your successes, until you've got to where you want to get to, because you're going to be uncertain every single time you pass a certain level of your business. When you make your first amount of money, you're going to be thinking, oh, well, can I do it again? Then once you've done it again, you're going to think, well, can I scale it to the amount that I need per month, per year? Then once you've done that, you're going to be fearful or uncertain of whether this business model is going to last. Is somebody else going to come and take over? Is there going to be some change in technology or in society where it's just wiped completely? Uncertainty will be a consistent fear that you have along the way, but you've got to learn to overcome it and realise that you're the type of person that's made it happen. So whatever happens between now and when that next stage of your business comes, you're going to have the capability to overcome it. Another big fear that all entrepreneurs have faced, dealt with, and are still dealing with today is rejection. We're all scared of that fatal word, no. We're all scared that somebody's going to mock us or turn us down when we offer our service or we try and sell our product. It's always going to be something that you just have to knuckle down and face head on, because without asking questions, without putting yourself in a position where you can be rejected, you're never going to be putting yourself in a position where you can say yes. That no is just, it's temporary. That's the ultimate thing. That no is only no from that one person. There's 7.2 billion people on the planet. How many of them are business owners? How many of them are potential customers? How many no's do you have to face to get the yes? And then can you make it better? If you have to face 1,000 to get one, can you then break it down to 900, 800? Rejection faces every single big business owner, big entrepreneur you look at today. They are still getting rejected because they're trying to grow their business. When you're trying to grow, when you're trying to scale, when you're trying to sell, there's going to be somebody that has said no before there's somebody that says yes. Rejection is a massive part, and we will learn to overcome it. Another fear many entrepreneurs face is financial insecurity. is my business going to make money? If so, how much? Is that enough for me to move on to the next stage? Is that going to be enough for me to actually invest the time into my business? Am I going to be able to scale my business to where I want to get it to? Financial insecurity faces everybody, not entrepreneurs, not just business owners, everybody. When you're taking a new job, you're scared if that job's going to pay you enough. You're scared if that job's going to be consistent enough. You're worried if the company's going to keep moving forward and growing, and then you can climb up the ladder with it. Financial insecurity is going to face you regardless of what you do. So you may as well face it whilst making something great for yourself. The financial upside of growing a business, of becoming an entrepreneur, of achieving your goals is insanely different compared to the financial downside, especially in the beginning, because you can bootstrap 90% of businesses nowadays. So you don't actually have to spend a penny. The biggest investment you're going to be making is your time. And if you're not going to be successful in terms of money, you're definitely going to be successful in terms of what you're learning and the experience you're gaining. And then we move on to the final, but the biggest fear that every single entrepreneur has faced. That is fear of failure. Now, we've covered this on previous episodes, but I want to go into a bit more detail around the fear behind failure and why it actually just prevents people from even starting in the beginning. When you're hitting failure on a consistent basis, it's a pushback, it's a challenge, but the fear of it in general can just prevent you from ever even trying. And that's the worry. That's the biggest worry for most people, is if they do not even try, they don't need to be scared of it. So they brush it under the carpet or they hide under the bed when it comes to the fear of failure. What we need to learn to adapt as entrepreneurs, as business owners, as people who want success, is embracing that failure for what it is. It's going to be a lesson. There's going to be something you can learn, whether it's good or whether it's bad. Getting scared or being worried about the outcome will 90% of the time, and maybe even higher, never be as bad as what the actual outcome will be. It's the fear that takes over before we do it. That's the big part that so many people need to overcome. And hopefully that's what we'll do today. Now, I know personally, I have dealt with every single one of these fears and will continue to deal with these fears along my journey. I had so much uncertainty, so much self-doubt and fear of rejection just from this podcast alone. I was so self-doubtful that nobody would want to listen to what I want to speak about. Nobody's going to be wanting to hear what some nobody's talking about for an hour or for 10 minutes or for 15 minutes, because there's so many podcasts out there where people are already successful, where people are already millionaires and billionaires, and they're telling people how to do this hack that they learned here and this marketing skill that they've done here. But then I realised this is something that I would have wanted. I would have wanted somebody to be as real as possible with me in the beginning and show me exactly what it's like. I don't want all the glitz and the glamour, because I know that 90% of that's fake, or 99% of it has been achieved already. They've already got to that stage. They've not just all of a sudden overnight, oh, now I'm earning 10 grand a month and I want to speak on a podcast and tell you guys how you can do it. No, I want to show what I'm doing, and I want to show what I'm doing to yourselves, to people in the future, to relatives and family, friends, that this is what I'm doing every single day. I didn't make it overnight. I didn't just turn on a camera one day and now I've got 1 million subscribers, or now I'm making £1 million a month. It wasn't like that. It was genuinely just, I had to turn up every day. I had to work hard. I had to test things. I had to speak to people. There's so many things that I can speak about that I've learned in this short period of my journey that I know later on down the line, it's only going to get more beneficial and more value driven for you, the viewer. And that's how I had to overcome that self-doubt of whether people are going to listen to me or not. I need to speak, find out what they want to hear, and then come and provide that to them. I also want to talk on the financial insecurity that can come along with this journey, because I know so many people that will get worried about starting a business. You know, I've got a wife, I've got kids, I've got bills to pay and all this sort of stuff. And whilst I do understand, in the beginning stages, and especially when you're doing it in your own time, I'd imagine that most people, I would like to think most people would be sort of smart enough to have some other form of income coming alongside their especially the beginning stages where you're pretty much making no money. Even once you've signed a few clients and you've got a little bit more experience and you've got a bit more of a steadier income, I lie on the side of I want my income matched first. This is where I'll stand with it. Because as I've said before, this is my journey, this is what I'm going through right now. And as we speak right now, I've got a 9 to 5 and I've got this business that I'm growing on the side. And eventually I want the business that I'm growing on the side to overtake my 9 to 5. That's how I personally think everybody should deal with it. Dependent on the business model, dependent on your responsibilities, your lifestyle, where you live. Because if you live in a different country and you can live off of £500 a month and that covers all your bills, all your expenses, there's no excuse to not go full time into your business model and to grow and to scale and to make that income a lot higher so you can live a lot better life where you can reinvest into your business. But if you're in the UK, like me, there is a certain point where there's a certain amount of money you need to hit, and there's a certain amount of money, in my eyes, you want to be hitting consistently before you have that comfort and that confidence to say, okay, now I can go full time. Now I can stop my 9 to 5 and I can put all of my energy into the business that I'm growing. That, in my opinion, again, is the first point you want to get to. Initially, you just want to make money. That will be spoken about. You just want to make money. You want to prove that what you're doing works. And the way you do that is by making 10, 20, 100, £1,000 from it. Once you've made a little bit of money, you understand, okay, this works. Somebody's paid me money for whatever I'm providing or whatever I'm selling. So it works. I know that. Now I need to focus on scaling. Now I need to focus on getting it to an amount I'm comfortable with per month. So say if you get paid £2,000 a month from your 9 to 5, you want to grow that business to £2,000 a month. Once you've hit that £2,000 a month, you want to focus on consistency. You want to make sure that you can make that money every single month, pretty much indefinitely, because again, it just provides you with that confidence. It escapes all of the fear that you have from being homeless or losing your house or people mocking you because you make no money whatsoever. It gets rid of that fear when you do it in those stages. Then once you've reached the point of consistency and you know what methods work, you know that all you need then to get your business higher is to scale, is to basically be able to invest more time. If you have more time, you can guarantee it's going to grow because you've got more time to outreach, you've got more people you can speak to, you've got more products you can make or outsource. So that would be, for me, how you overcome that fear is by having the stages set in place of, okay, I need to hit this goal. I need to prove that it works. Okay, I've proven that it works. Now I need to scale it to a certain amount. Okay, I've scaled it to a certain amount and I've proven I can do that. Now I need to hit that figure consistently. Now, the consistently side of things, or the consistency side of things, is going to depend on your level of comfort. If you hit it 1 month, you might think, okay, I'm going to bail on my 9 to 5 now and I'm going to go fully into this. I would personally recommend that you hit at least 2 to 3 months, because certain things can happen, especially if it's new clients that have made you hit that target, or if it's a new product launch or a new promotional offer that's made you hit that target, because there's certain factors then, you see, there's certain factors within that month's worth of sales or within that month's worth of income that have made it different to what could happen moving forward. If you're an e-commerce store and you're selling a Christmas related item and you make 10 grand over the November and the December period of time, you're going to be pretty much guaranteed that come January, that's going to drop off massively. So it'd be quite silly to make your money within those 2 months, quit your job, and then you come to January and you're making nothing. Unless you've got another product that will coincide with that time of the year as well. So you want to hit that consistency. You want to make sure that when it comes to the financial side of your business, which is ultimately the biggest goal, the biggest reason most people start a business is because they want to have some sort of financial benefit. So to ensure that you can overcome that fear right from the get-go, you want to have set stages that you're hitting. on to fear of failure. This is every day. This is an everyday occurrence that happens every single time there's a little setback, every single time that, in my business model anyway, every single time a post doesn't do well, every single time a message doesn't do well, every single time that I've tried to flip something or potentially a client's work hasn't gone the way that I wanted it to go. There's a fear of failure that comes into it. Now, your experience is going to naturally make this a fear much easier to overcome, because once you've dealt with that fear 10, 20, 30, 40 times, or 10, 20, 30, 40 days, you reduce the amount of time you focus on it. So at the beginning, if I had posted a video and it got 10 views, I might have focused on that fear of failure for 10 minutes, 10 hours, 10 days, and it would have took me that buffer time to then go back and post another video or to reach out to another client. As you slowly start overcoming and almost getting used to it, you're pretty much just getting used to that fear being there 24/7. You start to realise, well, if I'm scared or not, I still need to do something about it. Because just focusing on the fear itself or focusing on what failure could bring itself isn't going to do anything. Only taking more action, posting more videos, sending more messages, trying to sell more products, only by doing that can I actually change that fear? Can I actually reduce the fear? Because if you're scared that nobody's going to buy your product, but you never launch it, well, what are you scared for? You've not got a product to launch, so why are you scared that no one's going to buy it? At least if you launch it, no one buys it, then you've learned something, at least. That's at least what you can take out of those situations, is there's been something learned. That business model doesn't work. We move on to the next. And every single time that happens to you, every day that you overcome the fear daily, you become more experienced, you become much better as a person overall, you become a lot better as a business owner, and you just become a lot stronger mentally, because now you can face that fear head on, overcome it, keep pushing, overcome it, keep pushing. And it's almost addictive once you've done that, because now you just know all you have to do is keep turning up. All you have to do is keep pushing, keep going, keep trying the same thing, keep testing different things, and eventually something's going to work. I'm not scared to fail because I've done it 100 times before, but I'm scared if I don't keep pushing, what's the outcome going to be then? Because I don't know that. So fear of failure will be the biggest one, and it will be a daily occurrence. I'd imagine every single time you're trying to push yourself. I'd imagine even millionaires and billionaires alike probably fear failure, because at least then when you're up at that point, you've got a lot more to lose. But right now, we push through. That is the best thing we can do. Courage is not the absence of fear, it's the triumph over it. Now, that's a quote from Nelson Mandela, who may not be in the entrepreneur space. However, I think it's so fitting to what successful people deal with every single day. You can't class yourself as brave if you don't have the fear in the beginning. If you're going to climb to the top of the Empire State Building, and you're going to climb all the way up there, you're going to jump at the top, you're going to look over the edge, I'm not going to say that that's not an achievement, but you've also got to understand, if you don't have a fear of heights in the beginning, or you don't have a fear of the climb in the beginning, it's not going to be as powerful for you when you're at the top. Whereas if you're absolutely petrified of heights, FYI, I am absolutely petrified of heights. I know if I climbed to the top of something like that, jumped at the top and looked over, I'm going to feel invincible. I'm going to feel like I have truly overcome my fears, because I don't like heights. I'm genuinely worried about them every single time I'm up in a high position. And the fact that I've done it sort of voluntarily, I've chose to go up there regardless of my fear, I've still faced it head on. And now I can stand at the top thinking, yes, I've achieved something. Yes, even with me being scared, I've done this. So don't ever think that any successful person didn't have these fears. Don't ever think that they must have some sort of way of just not being scared of anything. You know, they've got millions of pounds in the bank, so they're never scared of losing, or they've got tons and tons of experience, so they're never scared of their own capabilities, because it's just not true. They would have had to start with no money in the bank and the fear of the financial insecurity. They would have had to start with no experience and had a fear of their own capability. They will still be dealing, as we speak right now, any successful person you're looking at, they will still be dealing with the fear of failure, because it's going to be ever present throughout your journey, especially when you're continuing to progress. You might not be scared if you're staying stagnant and you're just sitting on your millions and you're happy, but majority of them want to push, they want more, they want to grow the business, they want to get to a point where it's not about money anymore, it's about reaching this point or this goal or this achievement. They're going to be fearful that they're worried about, they're going to be fearful that that is a failure, that might not happen. But they are still going to do it. They are still going to push through and do it, because they understand that it's not about being scared. It's about just doing it. It's about just continuing to want to grow, continuing to want more, continuing to put yourself in uncomfortable situations and overcoming it, because that's how they're going to get stronger. That's how they're going to get better. And that's exactly what we can copy. We can do the exact same thing. Any task that you have on your list, anything that you know could potentially grow your business, but you don't do it because you're scared, although those are the exact tasks you want to be doing every single day. You want to be putting yourself in those uncomfortable positions, and you want to be taking it on regardless of how scared you are. That message you don't want to send to that prospect, or that business you don't want to contact about the product that you're going to sell to them, because you're scared of the rejection, you're scared that they're going to say no, you're scared that they'll say yes and then you've got to try and fulfill it. All of those tasks, all of those actions that you know taking will have some sort of positive impact if they're successful. You need to take them. You need to start realising that all of these fears that are going over in your head are going to be overcome through you doing something about them, through you facing them head on. I know any single time I'm scared of heights and I climb to the top of something, or I'm in a high position, I'll try and embrace that fear personally. I will try and stand on the edge of something, or I'll try and put myself as close as I physically feel I can to leaning over the edge, to looking down or stare down, because even though it's scary, even though I hate that fear, I hate it so much, I hate looking up at high positions, I hate being off the ground, I still know that there's going to be a powerful influx inside of me when I do it, because of the fear, because I'm embracing it regardless. So never run away from your fears, especially if you want some sort of success, because they'll find you're never going to grow without going towards them. It's just not going to happen. Now, something very powerful you can start doing is called the fear reflection exercise. And ultimately what it is you, again, grab pen and paper and you write down 3 or 4 fears that you currently have within your personal life or within your business life. And you try and understand why you have those fears. You try and understand what is the fear centered around. Is it centered through lack of experience? Is it centered through what could happen if I fail? Is it centered through rejection? Try and identify in one of those 5 key areas of why is it a fear that I have? Why would I be scared of the outcome if this happens, or of the outcome of this happening? And what you'll start to do is you'll analyse your own fears. You might start to realise that all of your biggest fears right now are coming from one main area. And the only way you're again going to overcome that is by writing down an action you can take to face that head on. So if your biggest fear is rejection, for example, and you've identified that majority of your fears come from rejection, you're scared that nobody's gonna like the show, you're scared nobody's gonna watch your show, you're scared that nobody's gonna respond to your DMs, if you start to identify that it all comes from rejection, you want to set a task that you can carry out that's going to force you into a position of high rejection. So I think I mentioned it on the previous episode of calling 20 people up and speaking to them and just putting your offer out there. Because I can guarantee you the first 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe even 10 no's will seem massive. But once you start getting interest, once you start getting people saying a couple of, maybe taking some sort of interest or saying yes to it potentially, that fear of rejection is going to slowly start to fade away, because you're going to realise that those yeses mean much more than anything else. So I definitely recommend grabbing a pen and paper, writing down what you don't want to do, because we all know what we don't want to do right now. What we're worried of doing. And you can almost guarantee, there was another quote I was going to pick for this episode, but I might introduce it at an episode later down the line. And it's, your success is on the other side of fear. And it's so true, because everything we're worried about doing, or everything that we keep putting off doing, is more than likely going to give us the biggest results, because it's going to be something that we put off for ages. And there's going to be a reason to why we don't want to put it, a reason behind why we want to put it off. There is 100% going to be something in the back of our minds, or a reason every single time we go to do that task and we say, oh, we'll get that done tomorrow. There's going to be something there that fundamentally is going to be across all the other tasks that we keep putting off. And as soon as you identify it and realise, okay, the main reason I'm scared of this is because of the financial worries. It could put me in a bad financial position because I want to invest £400 into my camera, or £400 into a laptop, or £400 into inventory. What we want to do then is realise we either take that action, or we've got to find a way to overcome it. Now, I think when it comes to the financial burden of things, it's a little bit difficult to overcome if you've identified that is the only thing I can invest in. Because I would personally say majority of financial situations you face in your business, you can overcome for free to a certain extent. And I wouldn't start reinvesting money into your business until your business has started to turn out money. So I know the first couple of £100 I reinvested into my business with subscriptions, with tools, with certain things that were going to make it easier for me to do my job for my clients. But if you've made no money, it's hard to justify doing that. So maybe staying clear of the financial investment. Again, all dependent on the business model you're going for. If you're going for selling products online, what you could potentially do there, instead of buying all of the stock, is coming up with a mock or a video, or sending out emails or DMs of asking people interested. If they're interested in it, would they sign up for a newsletter about it? Would they sign up for an exclusive deal that the first 200 people get 10% off? And then all you do there is you use that money that they've invested to order the stock, and now you've got a bit of flow going. So there is always a way to overcome those fears, even when it's to do with finances. But I think it's much easier to do something that's just a task. There's no money that's got to be put down straight away. More so when your business has made no money. So definitely, if you're facing something right now, write it down what category it falls under, and find a way that you can overcome it today. Find a task you can do right now. Once you've stopped listening to this podcast, of course, find a task you can do right now and go and do it. This is time for the viewer questions, where you guys get in touch, send your questions to me about a certain topic or about a certain discussion that we were having in another episode, and I will do my best to address it and give you some sort of solution, or something at least productive you can do about it. Now, again, not had any questions from anybody yet, so these are all generated by AI, and I'll continue to do that, as I say, until we build up a good sort of roster of questions that we can go have a deep dive into. Because ultimately, I want to be providing value to you guys, and I want to be helping you guys on your journey every step of the way. And the best way I can do that is any questions you have. I'll 100% find an answer to them, and I'll give my own personal insight of what I think I would do if I was in your position. Maybe I already have been. So if you do want to get any questions sent in, just head to crvideoeditor.com. You'll find a link to all of my socials there, as well as the latest episodes of the podcast. So you can always sort of refer back to any previous episodes you've listened to, or just click the link, send me a question. I'll respond to you there and then in the DMs, but I can also include it within the questions. Great chance for you guys to get a shout out as well. If you just mention any of the social media links you want shouted out on the show, I'll be sure to do that as well as answer your question. So for this week, they've been generated by AI, and the first one is, how do you overcome your own personal fears? So I think I've touched on this a few times during this podcast, but myself, I overcome the fears every day by doing what I need to do every day. And as soon as I identify something that I know I'm scared to do, that I know 100%, there's a fear here, there's something I'm worried about. Is it the rejection side? Is it that I'm not competent enough to do it? There is a fear here, so I've got to do it. It even sort of takes above all of my other tasks, dependent on what they are, unless it's client work or another project that I've got going on. It will take ownership over the top of it. So there was a stage at the very, very beginning where I didn't want to reach out to people, and I kept setting different goals that I wanted to hit. So I think on my profiles, it was like, right, I have to hit this number first, and then I hit the number and I'd try and push the number again, or I'd try and tell myself, oh, I need to get 2 weeks ahead on my content, or 3 weeks ahead, or 4 weeks ahead on my content before I start messaging anybody. And it took a while. It wasn't just overnight, but it was only sort of 2-3 weeks after constantly doing that I realised, no, I'm scared of somebody saying no. So today I'm now going to ring up 10 businesses, and I'm also going to message 20 across different platforms. And once I'd done that and got blanked, I think pretty much every single one of them didn't get back to me. Some of the phone calls went okay, but none of them turned into actual client work. And once they'd done that and realised, oh, all they've done is blank me. That's it. So that was my biggest fit. They're over a screen. It's not face to face. It's not even over the phone where they can say no, not interested, don't want it, and hang the phone up on you. Messages, the biggest thing they can do is either message you saying no, not interested, or they will just blank you, and then you're left in sort of no man's land of, oh, nobody wants my product or my service. I took it the other way of, I want a response. I want people to know. I want to know whether they're interested. I want to know if they got the message. I want to know what's happened. So I'd follow up. Then you'd get a no, or you'd still get blanked, or you'd actually, in some cases, you'll get people saying yes, but they just didn't see the messages. And again, once you've done that in the very beginning, once you've persisted with that of overcoming your fear of the rejection, and you've overcome it to the point where you've actually made a sale through doing it, it's easy. Because you've overcome it almost for life then. Because you realise every single time somebody says no, it's just getting me closer to that yes. It's just getting me closer to it. So the best way you can overcome any fear, whatever aspect it is just taking action directly towards that fear. Whatever it is, pick an action that is specific to what you're scared of and put it to the top of your list. Unless it's going to stop you doing the work for your clients, or unless you've got something big that you need to get done this week, put it to the top of your list and do it right now. Do it the second you finish watching this podcast. So the second question, again, these are generated by AI, is what mindsets help in overcoming fear? I personally believe this is a similar sort of mindset when you're facing the likes of failure, or you're facing anything to do with rejection, any fear that you have in your head. You have to realise that you're going to multiply it massively. You're going to make it much worse than what it actually is. And again, something I've touched on in previous episodes is the mindset of, am I going to die? If I'm going to die, that's a fear worth having. Because then the game's over. Is somebody I love going to die, or are they going to get seriously hurt? Because again, that's something that it's not worth the risk 99% of the time. As soon as those two are sort of checked off, like, no, that's not possible, the fear then, to me personally, sort of goes, because there's nothing anybody's gonna text me over a screen that's gonna make me feel crap. Because I know there's some people that are going to be a little bit harsh when they say no, or there's going to be some people that are a bit harsh when they see my content. You deal with that every single day. If anything, you deal with that, the more views you get. It's quite funny, but if I got, say, 1,000 views on a video and I got one hate comment, and I say that induce some fear into me of, oh, they don't like the video, and I don't want to make any more videos. If that video then goes viral and you get 100,000 views, you're going to have, I guarantee you, 100 more plus of those comments. So the success will actually bring you more exposure to dealing with that type of attention. Because for every good bit of attention, there's always going to be something negative as well. So how you have to develop the mindset of just staying persistent with it, almost weighing up the good sides, the bad sides, but realising it doesn't actually matter. If the task needs to be done, you've just got to do it. Because you want that success. I want a video to go to 100,000 views and get in front of the audience that I want it to get in front of. So the only way I'm going to do that is by continuously creating, posting, and learning from videos that I'm putting out there. And same with my clients' work. I want more clients to be over the moon with the results I've brought them in. So I can't post a video for them, get 79 views, and then stop posting videos for them. I want to deliver for this client. I'm going to make my videos better. I'm going to make my skill better. I'm going to work out how videos go viral. And I'm going to keep making them for that client until they blow up. Or until, say, unfortunately, you lose the client. There's nothing else you can do. That fear is going to remain there until you have the experience and have that confidence and just develop the mindset naturally to overcome it. So there's no specific mindset. It is just a case of you have to keep pushing. You have to keep doing it, because there's no magical words you're going to say to yourself that's just going to snap that fear out of your head. It's got to just be a case of, I'm going to push and push and push until it's gone. So the final question generated by AI is, how do you turn fear into success? Overcoming. As soon as you overcome any sort of fear, I'll go back to myself with heights. I don't go too much now, but if I ever went to a theme park or went on rides that were high up, I'd scare myself so much before I went on the ride. But I've committed in the sense of my ego sort of on the low now. Look, I'm scared of heights. I've made it very apparent to everybody around me that I'm scared of heights. But I still have too big of an ego to not go on the road. I have too big of an ego to be like, no, I'm not doing it. I don't want to do it. So I'd go on the ride and it'd do whatever it done. It spins, it'd shoot up in the air, whatever it did. And I'd get off the road and I'd still be scared. I still wouldn't necessarily want to go back on there because I know what that fear felt like. But I'd feel like I overcome, to a degree, a certain aspect of my fear. And I think you can put that across anything. If you're scared of snakes and you pick up a snake, you're going to have some sort of pride in yourself for doing it. If you're scared of spiders, if you're scared of the dark, clowns, whatever those types of fears are going to be, the second you overcome it, the second you doubt it head on, I'm not saying it's going to go overnight, but you're going to reduce the level of that fear has over you insanely, because you know you can do it. As I say, I will still say I have a fear of heights. And yet I've gone on things like the Eiffel Tower, I've gone on things like the London Eye, like I've gone on places that are high, they're big, massive structures. I've been at the top of them. So I know I can overcome my fear of heights. I know I can do that. Doesn't mean that the fear's gone completely. It just means that I know put in certain situations, I will overcome it if I have to. If I have to climb a mountain to save my own life, I'm going to climb the mountain. I'm not going to enjoy it. I'm not going to be happy about it. Some people have a thrill over heights. I think they're crazy, but some people get a genuine thrill over it. That's not going to be me, ever. I don't like them, but I will still push myself to overcome it. So there's no turning the successes and failures and overcoming the fear indefinitely in your life. It's not a magical potion. It is just a simple case of, what else can you do? If you're scared of doors and the only way for you to get out of a building is to go through the door, there's no windows, there's no ceiling, you can't just stay in the room, you've got to just go for the door. So you may as well just think, well, today is the day I face my fear and go for it. This is my favourite part of the podcast, or should I say it will be when I start getting some messages and some wins sent in, and it is of course the win of the week. Now, again, not received anything for this yet, so I'm just going to sort of go through a run through of it. If you want to get in touch, if you want to message me, just go to crvideoeditor.com. You'll have a link to all of my socials there, or you can leave a comment underneath this video or underneath the audio if you're listening to this on Spotify. I just want to hear about your wins. I want to hear about your wins, whether they're financial, whether they're personal to yourself, whether you've networked with somebody that you're happy to have networked with, whether you've overcome a fear that you were worried about in the beginning. Doesn't necessarily have to be business related. I want to be shouting you guys out, and what you can do there is, again, as same with the questions, if you just tag any socials that you want it shouted out, I'll do that across all platforms. You can send it via audio, you can send it via video, or you can just send it me on a message. And as I say, I'll shout your guys' wins out every single week. Again, they'll go something like, Simon had a massive fear of snakes and held a snake, and since holding the snake, he started to realise that his fears are only brought on more by himself, and that's actually helped him in his business because now he's messaging people every day that he was scared to do before. Something like that. You can bring it back to business if you want to, but if it's just a genuine personal bit of a personal win that you've had, I'm happy to shout those out as well, because again, there's a recognition for overcoming something, for facing something you were scared of doing, and you've just went straight away and done it. So that'll be the win of the week, and you can hit me up on my socials to be involved in that. Following the win of the week is going to be the much anticipated tip of the week. Now, this week's one is going to be similar to the test that I've mentioned up above, and it's basically just documenting the fears that you're facing, documenting every single time you're about to do something and you find yourself procrastinating, or you find yourself putting that task off, or you're finding yourself sort of getting really anxious, really worried about. I always go back to messages because I imagine that's what scares majority of people, but it can be anything. If you're about to jump in front of the camera and you find yourself putting it off, you know, oh, I've got to get this background ready and I need to get this mic sorted and I want to go and buy a new outfit, whatever it is, write it down. So you start to realise every single time you're procrastinating or that you're putting that task off, that there's a reason behind it and there's going to be a fear behind it. The main reason you're not going to want to do something is because you're scared of doing it. If you start to notice that every single Tuesday and Wednesday when you're going to do your recording sessions, that you're now finding yourself shopping online for new clothes for 2 hours, you need to be documenting it so you see, and you need to be thinking of some sort of action you can take every single time you're about to do that recording. So whether you just turn the camera on, before you even set anything up, I think most iPhones or whatever device you record on will record for hours without losing any signal or losing any quality or backing up your storage too much. Even if you just whack the recording on straight away and you think, right, I'm recording now, my camera is recording, I need to just get this set up, record the video. I can almost guarantee once you've recorded the one video, you're going to be sort of ramped up and realise, oh, it was actually a lot worse in my head than it was just recording video. Now I can just put it into my editing software, or now I can just post the video, or can just do whatever you do with the videos, get it uploaded, that's it done. And it was that easy. And because you've done it once, you can now potentially record another video, or when it comes to tomorrow's video, you can think the same thing. Okay, my next task is I'm going to be recording a video. Put your recorder on, and you'll build up that habit then of there's no time to procrastinate, there's no time to look for other things to do and put it off till tomorrow. I've started to build up this habit of every single time I'm going to record, I hit the recording button. I'm now recording. I'm now going to make a video. And you can do that for a lot of things. When it comes to, let's say trying to sell your services or trying to post your content, you want to try and come up with pretty much an instant action you can take based on the document, based on the journal that you've made of your fears, because then every single time you've identified it, you know what you do when you're scared of something. So then you can think of things you can put in place to overcome it before it even becomes anything, before your brain even has time to overthink on that fear. You've already took action. You've already sent 3 messages, why I'm going to be scared of more. So using that journal every single day and just starting to realise, identify and overcome every single fear you're having and what you can do to overcome it. Once you've done it for a few weeks, you'll have new fears that you have to start identifying, and then before you know it, you won't be scared of anything. Now, one of the biggest fears I personally have, and this is a recurring issue for myself, is the fear of time. I fear I lack time. I have a busy personal life, I have a busy work life, I have loads to do within my business. I'm always scared that when I will close clients, I'm not going to have time. And so what I've started to do is every single evening or every single day, I will know what my next task is, what my next 2 tasks are, 3 tasks are. I will literally work my way through 10 tasks a day and then create another 10 tasks and start working through them. And I still find myself a lot of the time being so far ahead or in a position where I've done everything. I've done 3 or 4 task lists today. Like, what else am I meant to do? And I'll still find something to do, don't get me wrong, but I start to realise that, oh, okay, I can actually take on another client and still have more than enough time. I can actually take on another 2 clients, 3 clients and still have enough time. This is before I even contemplate outsourcing any of my work. There is enough time there. So this is exactly what I mean by there will be fears that come over you that you've got to firstly identify. You've got to identify what it is that you're scared of. So I would be scared of if I took on too much work, I can't deliver for the clients, and then I've put them in a bad position and I've ruined my own reputation. But I overcome these by making sure I knew exactly what I needed to do. Every single time a task was done, I had the next one lined up. Every single time a video was done, I knew what video I was making next. I knew what post I was doing next. I knew what clients I was outreaching to. I had just a set task list where it just almost become a routine. It's literally just become a routine. If I finish that video, I upload it to where it needs to be uploaded to, I jump straight back in. Send those messages, I check them all off on my journal of who I've sent the messages to, and I'll go and prospect the rest. So you can just build up these, similar to habits, I guess, where you don't even have that time anymore. You don't even have the time to worry about not having time because you're just doing. You're just acting. You're just taking action all the time. And when you're taking action all the time, your brain's got no time to overthink. If you worry about making your next video, but you're already part way through making your next video, your brain's going to shut up ultimately because it's like, well, what am I meant to do? He's already doing it. You're worrying about the next inventory that you've got to order, but you're already on the website, you've already set up a system that automatically orders it in. You've got no time. So it's ordered now, what can I do? Worried about the money, worried about, oh, do I buy that new tool? You just do it. You just take that action and you take it in a big sort of momentous way where it's just next. Your brain will genuinely get to a point where it's got no time to overthink any actions because you've done them. They've all been done. Now he's moving on to the next thing. Now I've got to try and... Your brain can't work that fast because your body's just outperforming it every single time. And I know that's something I've noticed is as soon as I started to realise the fear of time kept coming in, but I had planned all these tasks in place, I'm now starting to realise I've got more than enough time to take on more than enough clients and still deliver for them and still keep the quality as well as doing everything else I want to do, because I've over-exceeded in the personal work I do for myself. So all I'd have to do is adjust that, spend the time doing it for my clients. I'll stay level on where I need to do personally for myself, and I can over-exceed for the clients, boom. So there's always going to be something that you can identify and take action towards and just overcome it straight away. As you can see, fear will come at you in multiple different ways throughout your journey, and you do just have to learn to overcome them. There is no other way that you're going to push on within what you want to get completed. You just have to overcome it. One of the best ways you can overcome all of these fears is by being adaptive and fitting in with the change and the ups and downs of your business. Now, if this is something you struggle with, you want to watch my episode next week where we will be speaking exactly on how you change and adapt within your business model and the best courses of action you can take in order to make this as fluent as possible. Now, if you'd like to get in touch with me before then, as always, you can hit me up at crvideoeditor.com. You'll have links to all of my socials as well as my email on there. If not, I will see you guys next week on The Real Journey.